Welcome to the RC shop behind the scenes here in the Creepy Crawler's garage. Every Wednesday, we take a look at what's going on in the shop for this week, and we also take a look at what's coming up in this Sunday's episode of the RC shop. And this Sunday, guys, we're going to be working on this guy right here. I think you might recognize, or most of you guys, I think, probably recognize this as Ugly Bubba from Bull Gear RC. This came in last week. It's kind of a special project for me and for the shop. Usually, you know, we have other projects already happening, and so I'd put most projects behind them, but this one's very special to me. So we're gonna get this knocked out. I think not this week. Well, we're gonna work on it this week, and then we'll get it knocked out next week. And what Bull Gear RC, by the way, if you're not familiar with Ugly Bubba, you need to get over to Bull Gear RC, take a look at it, get caught up with this so that you'll be caught up while we work on this here in the RC shop episodes on Sundays, this Sunday and next Sunday. And what we will be doing for this is adding an interior. So Lee over there reached out to me and said, "Hey, I need an interior for Ugly Bubba," and I said, "Don't ask twice. Just send it over to me, and we're gonna get this thing taken care of. I'll be proud to work on this rig for you." So that's the main thing we'll be working on this in the shop this week for this week's episode of the RC shop and next week's episode. Of course, we also have ongoing, parked right over there, is the Frank Special. And in fact, here is the body for the Frank Special. Yeah, it's in a bowl here. So this, we're gonna try to start assembling. This is a jigsaw puzzle that has been quite the chore for Frank and I. So not only is this a overly complicated puzzle, but I've had to deal with Frank in the process, which has only made it more difficult. And that's why, unfortunately, the Frank Special in the last couple episodes has kind of been bumped. I feel like it's Matt Damon on the The Tonight Show, or it was Jimmy Kimmel. It was Jimmy Kimmel that kept bumping Matt Damon back in the day. I feel like the Frank Special has become Matt Damon. But anyways, we will be working on that this week. I will bring you guys up to date in this Sunday's episode as to where we are with it. Hopefully we've made a little progress. The other project that we are working on this week that will be in this week's episode, of course, is the Highway 1 crawler. Here's the body of it, the chassis back here. You guys saw us put the paint down, or actually you didn't get to see it, but you saw the final paint. You saw us put the chassis together and then the final paint for the body, which you probably noticed is a little duller than it was that you saw last Sunday. It had a higher gloss last Sunday. Well, just so you guys know, in last Sunday's episode, we had applied 2 coats of clear. We cut that back. We've applied 2 more coats, and now this is it wet sanded again. This is gonna get 2 more coats of clear and then a final buff, and that should have us where we wanna be. But you can see this, in fact, it's probably still there's probably some water still on it, where I was actually just in the process of wet sanding before I started recording this, cutting this back with 2500 grit wet sandpaper and just trying to get out any of those imperfections, right? Speaking of imperfections, usually the easiest way to get rid of imperfections, like if you look at the shop truck back there, the easiest way to get rid of imperfections is to weather it, right? That's generally the way we call it hiding crimes. The easiest way to hide crimes is to give it a nice weathering, and then the crimes you've committed are part of the weathering. Well, you can't really do that with a show quality finish. So it just takes a lot of sanding, gloss coat, sanding. In fact, and just so you know, we did the same thing with the silver base coat. We would coat the silver, sand it back, coat silver, sand it back, coat silver. Candy, sand it back, candy, sand it back, candy. Clear, sand it back, clear, sand. Always cutting back to get smooth and get rid of you'll get those little dust particles, or any just of those. For me, it's mainly dust particles or whatever get in there. If you're new to painting, you might get a run here and there. Sand them back, smooth them out, coat again. So that's all you can do to get this show quality finish. You can't really, throw some rust over top of it or weather it like we do a lot of times to just kind of hide those crimes. Now, I will say, the heavier the gloss you apply, the more imperfection you can hide. So if you've got a little wave, if you got a little something, nice heavy gloss kind of tricks the eye, because all you'll see is that real deep color, that deep gloss color that, we usually will refer to it as deep, or it's like you can stick your hand into it, and that kind of hides a little bit of imperfection, but you can't get away with much, I will say that. So anyways, guys, so that's what we're doing, and that'll be finished for this week's episode, so you'll get a look at that. Of course, the chassis back here, which, by the way, I don't know if I showed very well, we did color key of course, it's not color keyed now because this is gloss and this is not anymore, the diff covers, which I thought looked really cool. I think those look really nice to color match those. Was a pretty good, and I wanted to just give you a little closer look. I don't know how well you could see that in last week's episode. The other thing you're probably noticing is this is just a cab to a truck. Used to have an interior in it. I mean, that's all finished, but it's just the cab. There should be a back end to this truck. Well, I spoke to the Highway 1 guys, and they want to, what we're going to do, or I don't think, what we are going to do is a flatbed like you saw us do for the Pass the Build project. By the way, thanks for all the praise and the great comments about that flatbed we did for the Pass the Build project. That was really cool. I wasn't expecting so many great comments and it to be so well liked. And because of that, I think myself and the Highway 1 guys want to do a flatbed for this also. For me, because to make the Highway 1 crawler guys happy, but also that this being a Marlin crawler or a Trailfinder 2 chassis that this goes on, with a TF2 body and all that proportions, I can build this proportion for a TF2. So then I have a product to offer in the online store. So basically I can build a flatbed that I can make for production. Highway 1 getting the first one, of course, kind of the prototype for it, which is going to be like what you saw on the Pass the Build project, but in higher detail, and just something that I'm going to get to be able to spend more time with and really make more detailed and a better product that will fit a TF2 chassis, and I think be a good option for a bed on this type of setup. But anyways, that's what the back end of the Highway 1 project, and I'm going to start modeling that this week. I'm not going to be able to get most of my fab time is going to go to the Bull Gear RC project, but this I'll go ahead and start modeling it out. So that'll be available on the online store and for this project as soon as possible. And speaking of the online store, so what's going to be new to the online store? Well, I got the Models by Tandem first build finished. Basically, a friend of mine, Tex 1976, did this woodwork for me. Speaking of, he knows who he is. So guys, down in the comments, what you need to do, if you would, is leave comments saying where's your YouTube channel, just something to that effect, because he does some really nice woodwork type stuff. He's talked about starting a YouTube channel and he needs to. So down in the comments, let him know how much he needs to start a YouTube channel. And also I want to say thank you to him for doing this wood base. But here is the final product of the first build we did in the Models by Tandem. This is going to become available in the online store. So this will be available to you guys. It's going to be for, I guess you could say, a premium. So for I like to think a substantial donation, this will be a donation to the channel. This will become available. I don't want to get rid of it. I like these that I build, but I do need to fund some projects that I have in mind coming up that I think you guys might be interested in. The project I have coming up, I'll just say, involves airbags, but it will need to be funded. And so I'm going to put this up on the online store, and it will be available there. And guys, I'm actually running out of time this week, so I probably won't be able to get to a question. So maybe I'll hit up a couple questions next week, but I need to get back to work here in the shop. Check out the online store. Check this out. Check everything else out if you want a t-shirt, anything like that. Check out the RC shop next week. If you haven't already, consider hitting that subscription button to keep up with the different builds. Check out what's going on with Models by Tandem also. I really enjoy doing these, so give those a look, and hit that thumbs up button, and I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.